Hi, Neville Marten from Guitarist here. Welcome to another Tone Lounge.
And I'm Richard Barrett. Welcome.
Today we've got a special guest with us, Simon Fraser-Clark from Black Country Customs. These wonderful pedals that we have in front of us. Simon's going to do some great sounds. We've got 3 different guitars here we can play, and another couple back there if we need to. Simon's going to go through the genesis of the company. Note the prog reference there?
I like that.
Very good.
We won't rush through it.
Why?
Okay.
Oh dear.
But yes, we're going to... Sorry. Should we start that?
No, carry on. That's not. Just keep rolling. That's perfectly
Blushing
fine.
like a crimson king.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Simon, it's fantastic to have you here in person.
Pleasure.
To talk to us about these. And would you mind going back to the beginning and telling us about... We've got this board here set up to demonstrate them all, but could you talk us through the story
Absolutely.
of these?
Pedals is something that we've always had a kind of a yearning to do, and we had lots of requests to do them, but we never actually spent any R&D time developing them until I got a phone call from one of our endorsees.
Are we talking Laney here?
Yes, yeah. The artist is Tony Iommi.
Okay.
Yes.
And so obviously our relationship with Tony goes back to, very early Sabbath days, 69, 70 sort of thing, who basically said, could he borrow one of our old amps to go out on tour with?
Right.
And we said, no, you can't. He said, why? I said, because the amp's 50 years old. So he said, well, what are we going to do? I said, I'll tell you what we'll do. We will retro engineer a new version of it. So we basically built him a bespoke guitar rig, which is where Black Country Customs comes from.
So how did the pedals spring from that?
He has a particular sound that he's after. So if you think about the amplifiers that he was using at the time, so this is 1969, It was a product called the LA100BL. Very simple amplifier, single channel, not much gain, literally dime everything across the board. That gives you the tone. Now, anything you can do to hit the front of the amp harder, whether you're Tony, whether you're anyone, makes a tube amp sound better. So he used a thing called the Dallas Arbiter Rangemaster, which was popular at the time, literally just to hit the front of the amp harder. So that generated his sound. So obviously he lost that. It's a well-documented story. So we spent 18 months designing and building an amp, and then Tony said, oh, and I need a pedal as well. And we went, oh, you never mentioned that?
He's going to stop taking his calls eventually if he carries on like this.
Absolutely. No, I'll never stop taking his calls. So that's when we were forced into looking at a pedal. So we spent a bit of time distilling down what we knew about the type of pedal it had to be, and just deciding how we were going to build it. So eventually, after a little bit of time, we came up with the pedal, and it was exactly what was required. And Tony took it, played, stuck it in his rack drawer, closed it away, and we didn't think anything more of it until we suddenly realised that we were going to be 50 years old. This is in 2017, and we thought, well, wouldn't it be a good idea to build a replica to celebrate 50 years? Build a set of replicas of 50 heads, 50 cabs, and 50 pedals. So that's really where the whole kind of drive to produce pedals.
So what pedals have you brought us today, and what do they all do?
They do everything that you want them to do. If you go back, think about, we talked about the amplifier that Tony was using. Single channel, not a lot of gain. So as part of the pedal project, we decided, well, okay, if you were a player with that style of amp, what would you need? So we started with a clean boost pedal to give you that perceived kind of difference in channels, difference in volume. We then started with a distortion pedal, or then I should say we followed with a distortion pedal, because obviously the original amps didn't have a lot of gain. The original amps had no reverb, so you kind of need a reverb-based pedal.
So we're moving across the
board, that's right. And then obviously everything sounds better with chorus. So you need a chorus pedal. And then to finally complete the range, you kind of need delay. So that's really where the pedals came from. all the pedals follow the same format. So there's a whole lot of, there's a set of surface controls, as we call them, that allow you to adjust things quickly from a player's point of view.
Yeah.
You tend to have, so you'll have a gain, you'll have a volume, then you'll have bass or some form of EQ, bass, treble, and then the little dip switch in the middle will allow you to select whereabouts in the mids the gain is added. So that's pedal off, pedal on, so that's a flat boost. Now all you're doing is hitting the front of the amp harder. Anything
volume,
anything you can do to hit the front of the amp harder just makes it sound better. A bit like chorus. But obviously the way an amp responds to kind of the mid-range, particularly from a guitar point of view, is kind of intrinsic into the way that it distorts. It's very interactive with the guitar, with the player, with the amp. So how you set it up really is down to individual, what you want to try and achieve.
Well, let's hear some of the other settings on this.
If we now, so now I'll basically just boost the upper mids. So now the upper mids are being boosted before the gain is added. So you can hear straight away it's become a little more nasally. It's become, the upper mids are boosted a little more. So if we switch it down to the bottom position now we're boosting the lower mids. So, and you can hear the amp response is completely different.
Yeah, it will push it in a different way. Yeah.
At the moment, we've got the bass and the treble EQ set at pretty much neutral. 12 o'clock. So obviously, depending on what you want to try and achieve, you can tailor that to get the exact response. Whether you're playing a Les Paul, whether you're playing a
Can you play
Strat.
a couple of little rhythmy licks to show us how you would use?
So you've got. So we switch to. Same thing.
But I was going to ask about the gain and the level. Obviously, this is not a distortion pedal.
Nope.
This is a booster. But would you be able to talk us through, why there is a gain knob separately from the level knob?
Because gain, obviously, whilst it's a clean boost, it's quite a large amount of boost. There's 30 dBs of boost in the pedal.
Okay, that should do
so
it.
in reality, if you wanted to really kind of spank the front end of the amp hard, you can do that. So now I'm increasing the level of gain up. So now we're immediately hitting the front of the amp that much harder.
So is that the pedal that you created for Tony?
It's a more commercially available derivative.
Okay.
Simply for the fact that Tony's was very, very specific. It had to do a very specific job.
Because I can hear, with that higher gain sound, I can hear a bit of Tony in
It's
that.
starting,
Yeah.
But that's the thing. So in reality, it's the same as, Tony has a signature boost pedal.
Yeah.
It's the same as the signature boost pedal, but with more options, with more EQ options.
Right.
Shall we move through them quite briefly?
Yeah. So you think about what we said about the guy who has a single channel amp. What's he going to need? Well, we've just covered channel switching.
Yep.
So now he's got a relatively low gain amp. What does he need?
Yeah,
More
exactly.
gain.
I'd like to.
So this is the monolith. The monolith is a distortion pedal.
Right.
It's based off 3 distinctly different eras, genres of distortion pedal. So the first one in up position is a very kind of, what colour's the light? It's an orange light.
Oh, I see. Right. So I'm thinking an orange
So
distortion pedal
it
of
could be
some
something. Yeah. So
kind.
think about something that's kind of super compressed, super squashy. All kind of sponge that you could want.
Yeah.
Middle position is something more akin to like a super overdrive pedal. So
Right.
it's now, it's much less compressed, it's more open sounding.
Much more of an overdrive rather than distortion, if
Correct, yeah. And then down at the bottom you have an option for something that's a bit more aggressive.
Right, so there are three basic flavours, and I can see that we've got a few more controls on here as well.
So you have drive,
Yep.
volume, tone, and then an option called R for range.
Okay.
Now,
Right.
you mentioned before about everyone knows the ubiquitous green pedal.
Yes, yes.
There is a little trick that you can do on the green pedal. If you've got an amp that's really running hard, and you can find that as valve amps distort, the bottom end tends to
Flubs
become a
out.
little bit unruly. There's a little trick with the green pedal where you can turn the drive all the way down and the volume all the way up, and you step on it, and all of a sudden your bottom end goes like that.
Yeah,
and you tighten everything up. That's kind of a one-trick pony. Works really well, but on the monolith you have a range control that allows you to decide just how much of that bottom end you can suck in. So it takes that principle of restricting the bottom end and making the tube scream, but allows you to do it to whatever degree that you want.
Right. So you can trim that low end in and out,
Yeah.
almost to suit the room if you want as well.
Correct.
Let's hear some of that. That sounds
Yeah.
great.
Difficult to demonstrate in here because obviously we don't have the amp that's wound up.
Yeah, that's covered. Right, you get that.
Yeah.
Just tap
So
my chest.
you can hear it just bring that
It's really
bottom
noticeable.
end in.
It's in a and what I like about it is every tone, every sound, however you've got it, it doesn't go mad. It doesn't go unusable.
So, I mean, that seems like a very versatile pedal indeed, then.
Yeah.
And you could use that as a boost in itself if you wanted to as well.
I think the other thing to think about is the fact that we're using these pedals in isolation at the moment.
Yes.
There is nothing to stop you now at this point switching the steel park in to the front end of the monolith.
Shall we set something up like that
Yeah,
then?
yeah,
Perhaps go for a rhythm tone that's...
Yeah.
So if we just set something that's, let's do like a... So we just wind the gain back a little bit.
Yeah.
So now if you step on the steel park,
Yeah, there's no
So we
shortage of aggression.
yeah,
It doesn't lose definition. The definition is all
No,
still
no.
there.
yeah.
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 Rich, just quickly swap the lead and see what some of those sounds like.
Oh, yeah, with
you.
a single coil.
This was pure single coil guitar, yeah.
Yeah. So completely bypassed.
That's-
That's
yeah.
straight into the amp.
Yeah.
So let's boost the bottom end. So now that's clean, or that's straight through.
Yeah, liking that.
Try a bit of distortion as well.
So this is your favourite DS1. And let's say we just wanted a bit more out of that, so we'll just push
Right,
it with
I'm
the
ready.
steel part. we've gone through a channel option. We've
Yeah.
gone through a gain option.
Yeah.
So next in line is the secret path. Same compact pedal format, 3 different options. Spring reverb,
Right.
plate reverb, and then a reverb that's called the secret path, which is a...
Which you can't tell us about.
No, I can let you hear. The secret path is a kind of a large ambient sort of reverb.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice.
So spring reverb,
Right.
guitar players know what spring reverbs.
Yeah.
They sound pretty boingy, a little bit
Yeah.
trashy.
Yeah.
You have basically a pre-delay. Come
Yeah.
back to that in a minute.
Yep.
Volume, for want of a better word, a mix. Then you have size and tone. So it'll run from small, splashy kind of
Yeah.
what you
That's the stairwell.
yeah.
Yes, exactly. Stairwell. Yeah.
And obviously you can increase the size of that to become a bigger stairwell.
Yep.
Plate reverbs. Plates tend to be a bit smoother, a bit more lush. And then the secret path is a large kind of ambient. I hinted at a pre-delay. Pre-delay is a term that tends to appear more on studio gear. But a pre-delay is the amount of time after a note is played before the effect starts. So in this instance, we've got a guitar, we've got a large ambient reverb, and the guitar is pretty much sat in the mix. If I decide to increase the pre-delay, the guitar will move from in the mix to in front of the mix. So like now, you'll hear the guitar. The guitar is much cleaner.
Is there a touch of mod on there? Modulation?
Not yet.
Oh, right.
So
okay.
the
yeah.
pedal runs in 2 different modes. At the moment, we have it in standard mode. The LED is constant. I've just turned the...
Yeah.
If you press and hold the button,
Right.
the LED will now flash
can see it.
pulse. Because now we've added modulation to the reverb. Not to the original signal, just the repeat.
Yeah.
And you can determine the amount of modulation added by just pressing and holding the little edit control and using the size button to increase the level.
Oh, excellent.
So that allows you to obviously just determine how much modulation you've got.
Yeah.
A bit more there.
So that's a preset rate and depth of
That's
modulation,
yeah,
but
it's
you
a
can
kind of
bring
a
in the
golden
effect
ratio.
mix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the same on the spring reverb and it's the same on the plate reverb. However, on the secret path reverb, that brings in a dark and brooding shimmer.
I think I might like this.
And cunningly placed at my feet is an expression pedal. So you can plug an expression pedal into the expression pedal port, and you can control that level of shimmer. So you can actually bring it in.
Oh yes, right.
And you can control the tone of the shimmer to be a very kind of bright, almost choral shimmer. Or be
And then
very
I was going to
dark.
say, if we hear the other extreme, it'd be good, yeah.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
That's like Dave Gilmour and Rick Wright together.
Busking in Glastonbury.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But there are more.
There are more.
Yes.
Many
yeah,
more.
yeah.
What makes things sound even better?
Oh yes, I think we discussed this.
Because this effect was all over everything in
Yes.
the 80s and sort of of the 90s, and you couldn't get away from it.
It has divided
then-
people.
And
Oh,
then
for sure.
Then it went completely out of favour, and you wouldn't even. But
Yes.
I use chorus all the time now. I love it. I love it.
It is a completely overused, over-abused, misunderstood,
Yeah.
but amazing effect.
Yeah.
Well, I cannot imagine the Rush Hemispheres album without chorus, and I wouldn't want to. So I'm all ears for this.
Chorus. In the same format as the other pedals, there are 3 different options on there. It's a CE1, a Dimension D, and a tri-stereo chorus, all shoehorned into one box.
It's not bad, is it?
So if you listen now, this is and we'll start with the hemispheres chord.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can hear how it has movement in it already.
Yeah.
In the same way that the chorus ensemble would go very chewy. You'll get
Right, I can really hear that.
all the detune. So you have depth, rate, mix, and tone. So at the moment we've got quite a, if I now slow the rate down, you'll hear you get to a point
Yeah,
where it stops to become chewy. Dimension D, so Dimension Ds are thinner, tend to be wider, a bit more watery. And then a tri-stereo chorus is basically, it's 6 choruses.
That's pretty chorusy.
Stereo chorus on the left, stereo chorus on the right, and a stereo chorus in the center. So you've got left, right, left, right, left, right, and it just has this really
Could we hear a couple of extremes on the tone control? I'm interested in how that affects the chorusing.
that's
Right. Yeah, yeah.
What pickup are you on that?
I'm on the bridge at the moment, but if I go
That
to
sounded.
got quite a nice wobbly.
Yeah. Okay, just for me, could you just add a bit of reverb with that? Because that's how you naturally do it with a reverb delay, wouldn't you?
So we'll switch in a bit of plate reverb.
Yeah.
It's very produced sounding, which is nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. We have so many options, but I can see that with these relatively small footprint pedals, we have something larger on the end, and I'm quite keen to get to that, if that's all right with everybody, and know what's going on with that.
So at the end is the difference engine. So we have boost, distortion, reverb, chorus. The only thing we're lacking,
Right. Okay.
Delay.
So it takes 3 distinctly different eras of delay. It takes tape delay era, it takes the digital delay era, and it takes the dynamic delay of dynamic era of delays, and it basically puts them all into one relatively small package.
Just to clarify, just in case, the way I understand it when you're saying dynamic delay is something like the 2290, where it would kind of sidechain it so that while you're playing, a delay is ducked, and then you stop and it...
Correct. When the pedal boots up in what's termed preset mode. So in preset mode, you basically have the ability to recall presets by pedaling up, or pressing and holding, or pedaling down,
Right.
pressing and holding. Then within that, you have a whole load of surface controls. Color, which is modulation on the repeats. You then have a mix control. You then have a tone control. You then have the number of repeats. You then have an encoder, which in preset mode adjusts the time.
Right.
So you can do that on the fly. You can press it and it will select different values, so you can edit quickly up to a long delay. Now, you're going to say, how do you turn it on and off?
Yeah.
So in live mode, these buttons do 2 different things.
Okay.
Now, that turns the unit on and off.
Yeah.
This now acts as a tap tempo,
Right.
or you can press and hold and it will freeze.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, yeah. Eric Johnson did a few things like that, where he'd
did.
just play a chord and it would
That's right.
freeze, and then he'd do those things over it. Yeah.
And it's fully MIDI capable. And obviously, because it's fully MIDI, it's fully program change compliant.
Yes.
So you can obviously call presets up to 128 presets, depending on your setup.
Yep.
And then it's CC number compliant as well.
Right.
So you can MIDI control using a continuous controller.
I was about to say, would that come into it? Yeah.
So you can pick, I think there are 57 different parameters that you can control via an expression pedal from everything.
Right.
Let's hear something.
So if we go for the first era of delay, so let's go for analog.
Yep.
So this is tape delay. Think about all the things that you love about tape. When you think about, there are so many little nuances of the way sound goes down to tape that, those have all been modeled.
Yeah.
So, I mean, thousands of hours of listening and programming have gone in to produce.
That's the dark room stuff you were talking about earlier, right?
Yeah.
Right.
At the moment, we're just in a preset, but if you wanted to go into the edit mode, you can go in and you can edit
Gives
the
you
wow,
a menu,
the
right?
flutter.
Yeah.
So all of the parameters that you would want from the mode that the pedal is running in, the time, what the tape is doing, the mix, the repeats, the color, the routing, the modulation, the compressor, all of those you have option to edit, in a lot of detail, or you can simply just turn the control.
Oh, yeah.
So you can alter the mix, you can alter the tone, you can alter the repeats, you can alter the time, and all of that just gives you, player's level control without having to go into the editing of it.
that's a bit 50s sci-fi. Have you got something that's a bit more kind of usable on a day-to-day basis?
So again, so you can have straight echoes, everything, yeah. Opposite to tape, a digital delay, there's no degradation.
Yeah.
So you have a pure repeat, and that will carry on as long as you want it to, unlike the tape where you'll have kind of, it will slowly degrade over time. And that's a lovely feature to have.
Yeah, I mean, on your basics, I mean, suppose your basic tone is one of pretty dirty. You're not really wanting to add any more confusion to that with degrading
I found that
tape
it
down.
can become a bit too
That's when
messy,
digital is really lovely, because you get
Correct.
the gorgeous sound and you get these very clean delays, which I love.
I've realised as we're talking, if I wanted an ambient chord sound, I tend to go with the more analogue thing, especially a cleaner tone. But if I want a straight up solo, digital, I've commandeered the lead. I'm going to have a go. I want to do some ducking, ducking delays, and maybe dirty up the sound a bit. I'm going to pretend that I'm Steve Lukather.
Ah, there we go.
Well, let me set you up a Luke sound then. Try that.
Yeah, that's the idea, isn't it? So you're... I mean, it sounds a bit like somebody's bringing up the effect on the end, doesn't it? Rather than... And that nice little bit, is that the tri-chorus?
That's the tri-stereo chorus.
I knew it.
And then obviously it's a stereo pedal. So one of the things you can do from a stereo point of view is you can have things that move around within the kind of the mix.
Well, in that case, allow me, the more ducking coming up, because I know that you'll...
So...
It is nice hearing it in stereo, yeah.
I have this lovely guitar. Can I just quickly plug in and get a couple of just averagey blues rocky sounds, just to hear, so that people can hear? We've heard lovely single coils, we've heard humbuckers and single coil mixed.
So what would you like first?
Oh, just a bit of just an average, just a nice little dirty-ish,
so we go
bit of something, you know.
Try that.
Well, so it seems to me that with these 5 pedals, that's all the bass is pretty much covered, isn't it?
Yeah, and each one is much more than you might think it is at first, isn't it? They've all got many options, and as you said, many shades of colour.
Yes.
So you really could do a hell of a lot with these, tons with these.
Yeah.
I mean, and with the switcher as well, I mean, obviously you have to learn what button did what, but you could do a show with that.
Quite easy.
You could do any kind of show with that.
Oh, very easily, yeah.
But ultimately, they're a means to an end. As an artist, these are the tools of your trade.
Oh yeah.
And they should allow you to realise whatever musical ideas you come up with. You need to. What we do as a profession is to make equipment that allows musicians to realise their ideas with the least amount of compromise.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we all know many great pieces of music have been created because the effect told you to come up with something that's never been come up with before. You think of Andy Summers, you think of The Edge, you think, going back to Hank Marvin, you know, they created something new. Because
definitely. I mean, and the effects are part of the music rather than an enhancement in that case, for sure.
And I think it is down to the point that effects change the way you play.
Yeah.
It's not what you play, it's what happens next.
Yeah.
Because it is. And if you talk about The Edge and you talk about Andy Summers and all these other guys who have become synonymous with using kind of delay chorus things, their chord choice and the dynamics have been, shaped by the effects that they've used.
These will all run off. You don't need a specialist power supply or anything
regular.
like that. They're centre negative kind of.
Yeah.
Are they all 9 volt?
They're all 9 volt. The analogues will take batteries, the digitals don't. Purely for the fact that the amount of draw that they pull. You just, they're power supply only. And again, they make a nice set. You have every colour that you could possibly need to paint a very interesting guitar picture on a board in a relatively compact format.